Hey everyone, this is Dr. Kirk here with you once again on YouTube, and now it's time for episode 64 of Album of the Day. I'm calling this episode 64 because I accidentally said that last review was episode 64, but it was actually episode 63, so that's why it's changed a little bit. But anyway, you know, a little introduction to start this video. Even just because I'm not wearing red and white clothing right now doesn't mean I can't review this band that I'm going to talk about today. A band that's been the claim to fame of singer-songwriter and guitar virtuoso Jack White, who is now known as one of garage rock's best guitar slingers out there. This band's been around since 1997. Unfortunately, they broke up in 2011. That was like 4 years ago. But their music will be remembered as some of the best we've heard in garage rock. So I'm here to review my all-time favorite White Stripes album, released in the summer of 2000, their sophomore album. Excuse me. But anyway, the album is called Stijl. And my copy of this album is actually a reprint released on Jack White's Third Man Records label, which I did go to the Third Man Records store in Nashville when I went there. That was pretty cool. And Warner Brothers. There's a lot of the songs are original songs, even though there are a few covers on here too. The track listing is You're Pretty Good Looking for a Girl, Hello Operator, Little Bird, Apple Blossom, I'm Bound to Pack It Up, Death Letter, Sister, Do You Know My Name, Truth Doesn't Make a Noise, A Boy's Best Friend, Let's Build a Home, Jumble Jumble, Why Can't You Be Nicer to Me, and Your Southern Can Is Mine. Anyway, here's the disc with Jack and Meg on it. Meg White, of course, being like Jack White's, like ex-wife who played drums in the White Stripes. Okay, and here's a little booklet which has some lyrics and the liner notes and some really cool artwork going on this album too. And this definitely carries on the tradition of the White Stripes cover arts being mostly red, black, and white. So that's the packaging for my copy of Stijl. This album, the reason it's my favorite White Stripes album is because I like how the production on it is so raw. It's like flawed in all the right ways. And it's really refreshing to hear something a bit rougher in this time in music where everything's all polished and a very concise and sleek studio recording. This album sounds more like kind of a good, garage rock home recording. That's what it sounds like. Like there are a bunch of things that I love about this record, including Jack White's very powerful and very, very crunchy and just very, just his nasty guitar licks on this album are just, so enjoyable to listen to. And plus the songwriting on this record is another big thing about this album that shows the White Stripes constantly kind of making improvements. I mean, their first album, which is self-titled, has a lot of great songs on it. But the album wasn't really much about songwriting, as it was definitely more about just some really good riffs and some very booming, childlike drumming from Meg White. The songwriting on Stijl definitely deals with a lot of teen angst and stuff like that, with songs like Sister, Do You Know My Name, and Truth Doesn't and Truth Don't Make a Noise is like, as the Needle Drop said in his video of his top 10 White Stripes songs that he did a few years back when the White Stripes had their devastating breakup. Like, and then there's like a song like and then the song Apple Blossom. It deals with this relationship where someone, there's a person, there's a girl that this guy is, that who is who that this there's a girl that like this guy is in love with, but yet doesn't quite understand why she deals with all these problems, and she's made all these mistakes that she just won't explain to people, and when she's around people, she only ever talks about the negatives in his life, and the protagonist in the song's trying to convince her that just because you've made all these troubles in your life doesn't mean you have to talk about them every single time you run into someone random. So it shows that Jack White's pretty smart and clever with his lyrics. And the boy's best, and then there are tracks on here like A Boy's Best Friend that talk about being young and just, it basically deals with this young adolescent who gets kicked around all the time, and his only friends are his mother and his dogs, and he just feels alone because because everyone at school makes fun of him and stuff like that. It's definitely a very smart song about how when you're an adolescent and you're and when you're dealing with teen angst, society tends to have a negative impact on you. That's for sure. So like the songwriting on this record is definitely very well done. And while the instrumentation on this record is very simple, mostly Jack White's really good guitar playing and the childlike drumming from Meg, but that doesn't mean that the White Stripes don't expand horizons a little bit with their instrumentation. Like, for example, there's more prominent use of piano on this record, there's a tambourine here and there, there's a harmonica solo on Hello Operator, which sounds pretty nice. On the track I'm Bound to Pack It Up, there's Jack on a stand-up bass, Meg playing a red egg shaker and a floor tom instead of a full drum kit, and then there's Paul Henry Aussie playing a violin on that track, which fits in with kind of the chilled out acoustic vibe of the song. And then there's this weird electric violin on the song Why Can't You Be Nicer to Me, which it's pretty weird, but at the same time really does fit in with the song strangely. And even though the album succeeds with its original tracks written by Jack White, that doesn't mean that the album allows a good amount of room for some really good covers. Like, for example, the track Death Letter, really good cover. Like, Jack's slide on that thing, it's definitely something that, sounds angry in a good way. It sounds kind of like an angry swarm of bees. It's enjoyable to listen to with Jack's slide riff on that song. And then it's basically, and it has, that story told by Son House of a guy who gets a letter that his girlfriend died, and talking about how he found over 10,000 people on the grave and stuff like that. So it's a pretty dark story that Sondhaus wrote for the song, and the White Stripes rendition of this song is definitely one of the best like garage rock covers that I've heard. Like, and some other really good garage rock covers that I've heard have been off the Black Keys EP, Chulahoma. Highly recommend that album, full of great Junior Kimbrough covers. And then there's the cover of Blind Willie McTell's Your Southern Can Is Mine, which closes the album. It closes out the album with some pretty simple instrumentation, acoustic guitar, a tambourine, and Meg White sing. And this is the very first White Stripes track to have Meg White singing with Jack on here, and their voices seem to fit really well together on here. And this song definitely has some clever humor to it, even though Jack White didn't write it. One of the blues greats, Blind Willie McTell, wrote it. Apparently, he's like one of Jack's big influences. So I think that influence kind of goes through on this album with kind of the bluesy riffs going on in this album. This album does manage to bring out some really good garage rock licks that are more just about a great lick than the lyrics, like songs like Let's Build a Home and Jumble Jumble. The lyrics, weren't really, the lyrics may be kind of useless, but the riffs are just, incredible. Like, I love that lead riff on Jumble Jumble that goes, just love to listen to that, so this album is definitely rough, noisy, raw, and very heart-wrenching, too. So that's why it's my favorite White Stripes album, because, Get Behind Me, Satan, in my opinion, is my least favorite White Stripes album. Just kind of a lot of filler on that album, and not enough blues riffs, in my opinion, even though there are still some good songs on that album. But this album, on the other hand, pretty much has no bad song on it whatsoever. It's pretty short. It may be 13 songs, but it's still just like about 40 minutes long. Not a very long album, but it's definitely but the album definitely is short enough to just, tease you with all these different riffs that will kick your butt. So I'm going to give this album I'm probably going to give this album maybe like a 10 out of 10 or something, because, this album, just pretty much everything about it is just, excellent. And one of my favorite garage rock albums. So this album, definitely number one on my White Stripes album, on my favorite White Stripes albums list. Number two would have to be White Blood Cells. Number three, the self-titled debut. And number four, of course, would have to be the Breakthrough album by the band Elephant. And if you want to hear some other great garage rock albums, check out the first three albums by the Black Keys: The Big Come Up, Thick Freakness, Rubber Factory, and the amazing Chulahoma EP. So Distill, definitely one of my favorite albums of all time. And if you've never heard of the White Stripes album, I highly recommend this album. So that's it for this review. I'll see you for episode 65.